everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of body blushing, particularly as it pertains to resin BJDs. Now, I have a lot of dolls that are either wooden or vinyl that have body blushing as well, but the discussion is particularly relevant around resin BJDs, and we're going to talk about why that is. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to kind of define body blushing for you guys. Body blushing is when an artist paints all the body of the doll. So most dolls standard are only going to come with a face up, which is their face painted, but you can get body blushing for your dolls. Now, I like to think of body blushing in three different ways. So there's a full body blushing, which these three dolls here all have full body blush from the artist. So this is my Pasha Pasha Simply Beautiful. She is fully body blushed. Her entire body is painted. This is my Loki from Pasha Pasha. Same thing, fully body blushed. Entire body is painted. And then my Cuckoo from the Poupées sisters, her entire body is blushed. So she is fully painted, and you can see some of the nuance on that. Then there is what I like to call nips and tips, where they do like a manicure, a pedicure, and they do the chest. My Natalia Loseva dolls are like that. You can see the blushing here on the chest and the manicure on the hands, and you can see the manicure or the pedicure on the feet as well. So that is like a like not a full body blush, but a really good body blushing alternative to a full body blush. And then there's kind of like just manicure and pedicure. So my Novgorod has that. My Novgorod has just her hands and feet painted. So she doesn't have a full body blush. She just has basically a manicure and a pedicure. So you can see that here on her. But that is, an artist will paint the dolls and they generally seal it. A lot of artists use Mr. Super Clear. This is sealant. A lot of artists use other things. I know Natalia Loseva and Pasha Pasha, they both resin seal their dolls. Not Natalia Loseva, sorry, Matahatis did my Natalia Loseva doll. Matahatis did resin sealing on this doll, but I did pay 15% extra for that. So she'll do a regular seal, but she'll also do the resin sealing if the client asks for it. So resin sealing is a little bit more durable, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. But what I want to do is I want to kind of go through the pros and cons of body blushing and talk about them, because it is a topic that comes up fairly frequently around resin BJDs. Some people feel strongly about it one way or the other. I do have my bias, and you guys probably know what that is, but let's get into it and talk about it. So I want to keep this kind of balanced, I'm going to talk about a pro and then I'll talk about a con. The first pro of body blushing is that, to me, it just makes your doll come alive. So if you look at my Pasha Pasha doll, this doll is just, it's like she's alive. They look so alive with the painting, and you can see, especially if you get a good artist, you've got the bluish here, you've got all the different blushing, everything looks great on her. Same thing with my Loki. Also, same thing with Cuckoo. You know, she's got the body freckling, she's got all kinds of stuff going on, and I can't fully undress them for YouTube because they are very well detailed and well painted, but the details are just incredible, and the dolls are so lifelike and they're so beautiful when they're body blushed. Even just adding the manicure and the pedicure really brings some life to the doll, and so I feel like that is just one of the really awesome things about body blushing, is that it brings life to your doll. But now let's talk about all that detailed painting. Here's a con to that. All that detailed painting takes a lot of time. So if you are waiting for a doll and you're gonna add body blush to your doll, that takes a lot longer than just a face up. So if you're impatient and you wanna get your doll quickly, body blush may not be the way you wanna go, because you just want the face done and you don't want the whole body painted, because you know, detail takes time. It takes a lot of time to get this level of detail on a body blushing. Now, most artists can do a manicure, pedicure pretty quickly, but like if you look at the manicure on this doll, on Shanna, she has like veining. So that's not just a basic manicure, that's like a full body blushing, like realistic body blushing of that hand. So it takes time to achieve that level of detail. So if you're impatient, you know, that may not work for you. Another pro of having body blushing done is that your dolls are gonna look great on display. So these dolls, you can see I have them on display, and because they're painted and the outfits that I have them in, they look really good. They look really realistic. You know, if you want your dolls to look realistic, I don't love the pure realism look, but I just think that makes them so much more of an art piece from an artistic perspective. So when you have the doll fully body blushed and you have them on display like this, adding that body blushing really elevates your doll to the art piece that it is. And I think that's something that's so fantastic about having that full body blushing. Now, a con to body blushing, kind of along the same lines, is if you have your doll fully clothed and you don't have them on display in outfits like this, maybe body blushing isn't a good choice for you because you're going to be covering it up anyway, and if it's not going to be out there on display, what's the point of having the body blushing done? What's the point of an artist taking their skill and their time to go through and blush your doll's body if it's not going to be shown? So that is a con of body blushing, but it's one that I tend to ignore, and it's just because, you know, I'll talk about it at the end. I'll give you my summary at the end, but I kind of tend to ignore that. So another pro of body blushing, and this is the one that I love the most, when a doll is really expertly body blushed, it brings out all the nuance in the sculpt of the doll. So there are things on a doll that are sculpted by the artist that are very, you know, like collarbones, the way the collarbones are. With the Poupées dolls, they have such delicate sculpting done to these dolls. It's just incredible. But you may not notice some of those very delicate, very fine-tuned, very nuanced pieces of sculpting on the doll without it being properly body blushed, shadowed, things like that. And so that's one of the things about body blushing that's amazing, is it really brings a sculpt to life, and it really helps you see what the artist was trying to achieve with that sculpt. And so that's something that I really, really appreciate with the body blushing. Now, a con of body blushing is that it's expensive. Like I was saying earlier, body blushing takes time, and when it takes that much time, it's going to cost money. You have to pay an artist for their skill, for their time, for their supplies. So it is an expensive addition to your doll if you're going to have your doll body blushed, and it is just, you know, that's part of the thing that goes with body blushing, is the expense of it. Another pro of body blushing is, I'm going to tell you what, your pictures look great even if your doll is covered up, and I'm going to show you an example of that right now. We kind of talked about this a second ago, but I have two Doll Essence dolls here. They are on the exact same body, but Adra in Wonderland here, she is body blushed. You can see she's got blushing around her hands and wrists. If you look through her tights, she's got blushing around her ankles and knees. And even though I have her covered up, you can see just from the hands how much more lifelike this doll is. And if I take a photo of her, how much more lifelike that photo is going to look. In comparison, I've got Melf here, and Melf is not body blushed. She just has the face up. And you can just see the difference between the two, how much more Adra's hands, they pop, like her whole look just pops, where Melf, again, she's adorable, I love her, gorgeous doll, but she doesn't have that same level of oomph that Adra has because of the body blushing. So she's a little loose. I'm going to try to put her back on her stand. So that's one of the things about body blushing that I really love. One of the big pros is that, you know, in photography, if you're taking photos of your dolls, it just really adds that level of pop to your photos and to your videos or whatever you're trying to do. Now, a big con of body blushing. Okay, we've already talked about the expense, we've talked about the time. Body blushing, if you handle your dolls, if you move their joints at all, and this is why this is specifically geared around Resin BJDs. If you're moving that stuff around, the body blush is not forever. It is going to wear off. I'm going to show you an example here. My Pasha's elbow, and I'm hoping that you guys can see this. some of that body blushing is worn off because I have moved that joint around a lot. I've changed her a lot. I've played with her a lot. I've done a lot with this doll. I've handled her a lot. Same thing with Loki, and this particularly, I noticed this happening a lot on the darker resin dolls because the sealant is clear and you're putting that clear sealant down on a darker resin. You can start to see some of the sealant in places as you're moving. You can see it here on the shoulder joints. As you move the doll around, you'll start to see some of that sealant. You especially see it here. You can see it right here on her thigh joint. That sealant will start to come off. Now it comes off on all dolls equally, but on the darker tone resin, it's even more obvious. So it's going to come off. Body blushing, it's gonna happen. If you're moving your BJDs around, that friction between the joints, because you're creating friction as you move it around, it is going to rub off your body blush. And even my Poupées doll, she's got, you know, she's starting to show signs of the body blushing coming off, and I don't mess with her very often at all. So it is something that happens. Now the resin sealed dolls that Pasha does, like this doll was not resin sealed, she was a Simply Beautiful. This was back when Pasha was still taking commissions to do the body blushing and face ups, but I paid for the basic one, not the resin sealed one, and so she's not resin sealed, whereas the resin sealed ones do hold up a little bit better than that, even at the joints. But over time, as you do that friction around the joints, it's going to come off. Over time, as you dress and undress your doll, you're inevitably going to wear out some of that body blushing. So that is one of the cons, and I'm going to jump into another con right from that, and that is just finding somebody who's willing to do the work. There are not a lot of artists out there who are actually willing to even do body blushing. Pasha used to do it. She only does it for full sets now. The Poupées won't do it anymore by order. You have to buy one of their full sets. I couldn't get, Matahadis wouldn't do a full body blush. She would just do the nips and tips service. And there's just so many artists that they're just not willing to do it. And I totally understand that because it takes a lot of time to do a whole body. It's probably not very interesting to do, to try to do all this freckling and painting and stuff. So it's difficult to find an artist who will actually take the commission to do the body blush for you. Now, of course, if you're capable and artistic and able to do it on your own, great, but I'm certainly not, and so I do find it difficult to find somebody who's willing to do that. Most face-up artists that I talk to, they will only do a manicure and a pedicure. You can take the hands and send them the hands and feet, and that's all they're willing to do, and that's just basic, like fingernail painting. So it's really hard to find somebody to do it. So I prefer if I can get the artists themselves, like I have here with my Pasha Pashas and with my Poupées and also my Adra. Tatiana did this one for me. I asked for it and she did it. And you know, I think she was surprised at how much I really liked it, because a lot of collectors do complain they don't want the body blush. They don't want to pay the extra for the body blush because it is just eventually going to wear off. But for me, if I can get the body blushed, I will always do it. I will always pay extra for it, and I'll always take it, because I would rather have it, especially when I'm opening that doll and I get that new doll for the first time. It's the euphoria of being able to look at the sculpt and to see the detail of the sculpt, to see how it's painted, to see all the little dips and curves and the things that the artist intentionally put into their doll that the body blushing really just brings out. And even if I'm going to cover the doll up, if the doll's going to be fully covered, there's going to be parts of the doll that are sticking out. You know, the arms are going to stick out, the hands are going to stick out. You know, they might be wearing a tummy bearing shirt, so that might be sticking out. You know, just so if I have the option, I always get it. And like with my Loseva dolls, you know, I got the service that I could. I got as much as she was willing to do. So that is my opinion on it. I really like the body blushing, and like I said, I will always take it when I have the opportunity to take it from the artist or from the face-up artist that I've sent my dolls to. So that is just, you know, those are the pros and cons that I can immediately come to mind for me when I think about body blushing and when I think about it all. You know, the big pros, the main takeaway, your doll looks amazing with body blushing. But that's the main pro. The main con is it's expensive and it's going to wear off and it's hard to find somebody to do it. So those are what I see as the pros and cons. But that one pro, like how amazing your doll looks and how you're really able to see the artist's vision of the sculpt once it's painted, that outweighs all the cons to me. So I would love to know, what pros and cons do you think I missed? Let me know in the comments below. I also would love to know your opinion on body blushing. Do you like it? Do you love it? Would you leave it? You know, what do you do? Do you like to do just a manicure? Do you like to do nothing? Or do you like a full body blush like I do? So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. I want to say a huge thank you to my patrons from Patreon: Lindsay S., Leah W., Doreen Z., Janice H., Mercedes W., Cindy K., Bear Sunflower, Diane B., Kelly L., Cindy L., Susie W., Krista R., Victory Run, Shorna R., Shira Star Hobby, Stephanie W., Jessica S., Ray M., Asia C., and Black Y. Your support helps me continue bringing you great dolly content, and it means so much to me. For information on how you can become a supporter of this channel, please see the link in the video description. Thank you so much for watching.